Yes, really.
Thank you.
Oh, all right, what do you got?
Did it end up not happening?
Minutes.
All right.
Yeah.
Clock's
You know, that's my job. I'm here.
Jay Williams from retirement. I'll be the Will be the.
It's not happening anyways. No, because he was like, they had some other breaking news. They're like, maybe we'll cover it on Monday. I'm like, if they're not gonna bring it today, they're gonna give it something.
No, they will.
Channel 5.
Oh, channel, I'm kidding.
NBC. Yeah, they told us and so wanted to do it the night the story. And then he was gonna send a film crew and then some other breaking news happens.
And same thing with Channel 17.
Is that thing that happened with them too?
Well, you know what, they'll give a mention on it.
Yeah, there might be, yeah.
There'll be a mention.
Definitely great press for them. Free press.
Okay,
Yeah, the article is amazing.
all right, what is that now?
1 minute, you're almost there. Here's how these things come. Molly Moore signed this thing for ad tech. We charged your call them up and then all your information and then they screw it up. You're up.
Well, good evening. We're ready to start our Grosse Pointe Farm City Council meeting. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
All right. Derek, then we have a roll call, please.
Councilmember what? Councilmember Ritchie.
Here.
Here.
Councilmember Donovan.
Here,
Councilmember Williams here. Councilmember Bowley.
Here. May I have a motion to excuse Mayor Thuros, who is away on business and regrets that he cannot be here?
for,
All in favor? Thank you. Number three, item 3, reading and consideration of the minutes of the regular meeting in the closed session of June 16th, 2025. Do we have any input from council members as far as any corrections, additions, deletions?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, second? Someone?
support.
Support? Okay, all in favor, the minutes have been approved. Let's now have a ceremony that recognizes the promotion of Sergeant Desmadel. Hope I pronounced your name right. Sergeant Ryan and Lieutenant Hunter, and for that, I turn it over to our director, John Hutchinson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, as promised, at the June City Council meeting, we return this evening to acknowledge 3 more promotions to public safety. These gentlemen performed admirably in the promotional process, consisting of, for those who haven't heard it before, an oral exam, oral board interviews comprised of police and fire command officers from outside the woods, and internal evaluations from Grosse Pointe Farms command staff. Greatly appreciate the ability to publicly recognize the appointment of new leaders in the Department of Public Safety. With that, gentlemen, when I call your name, please step forward. Chris Desmadrel, along with his father, retired Battalion Chief John Desmadrel, St. Clair Shores Fire Department, and his son Isaac.
Wow.
Thanks. Chris came to us from the Detroit Police Department in June of 2016, bringing with him additional experience as a former EMT with MedStar. He's also juggled several responsibilities for our department over the last 9 years, working as a PSO, fire inspector, helping to keep our schools, businesses, and churches safe, excuse me, and fire investigator, which is the equivalent of a fire department detective. Hailing from a family of distinguished firefighters, Chris consistently brings passion and dedication to his service to Grosse Pointe Farms. Congratulations, Sergeant Desmadrel, and good luck in your new position.
There's the way.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Right. Stay.
Next up, Mike Ryan with his wife Katie and kids John, Olivia, and Carolyn. Mike came to us in October of 2018, bringing with him experience as a police officer for the communities of Elmont and Dryden, as well as being a firefighter and paramedic in Utica, where he also currently serves as a city councilman. Mike has helped train new officers as an FTO and conducts various department-wide training sessions as a certified fire instructor. He has also been instrumental in helping to secure grants and procure equipment for the Public Safety Department. Congratulations, Sergeant Ryan, and good luck in your new position.
And good to see you. Congratulations, Sergeant. Thank you, sir. Congratulations. Congratulations, Sergeant.
And finally, Matthew and his wife Gail. Matt came to us in September of 2001 as a PSO from the Grosse Pointe Woods Department of Public Safety. Additional past experiences in Memphis, APAC, and current part-time position in Yale. That's a busy guy. Over the course of his long career, he has served as a paramedic, FTO, distinguished member of the Honor Guard, firearms instructor, and is an adjunct faculty member and teaching assistant at both the Macomb Police Academy and Fire Academy. Matt was promoted to sergeant in December of 2021, and in his spare time, he has worked tirelessly to acquire federal surplus equipment for the Public Safety Department. Congratulations, Lieutenant Herder, and good luck.
Big one, Matt. Thanks.
Congratulations, Lieutenant.
Thank you, Mom. Lieutenant, thanks, boss. Thank you.
That concludes our ceremony. Congratulations to the guys.
All well deserved. And thank you very much for the family members that came too and the company.
Maybe give a minute to think of it next time.
More than jump too.
Oh, boy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right, we're ready for item number four, excuse me, item number five. I remind everyone that this public hearing, here's how we're going to proceed. First, I want to have some words as far as what precipitated this proposed ordinance from our Councilmember Wood and our Councilwoman Sierra Donovan. They both worked very hard on this. Then I'd like to have our city attorney outline and give a summary of what we are proposing to do. Following that, we will have public hearing from all of you who want to come to the podium. I do ask two things. When you come to the podium, give us your name and give us your address, okay? I do remind everyone here too that we are streaming and this meeting is being recorded. With that, let me ask Councilman Wood to begin, along with Sierra Donovan, Councilwoman Sierra Donovan, on what precipitated this type of motion that you wanted to have before this council.
Thank you, Beth. Mayor Pro Tem. In May, I led a discussion regarding a response to a public safety report from Andy Rogers. At the time, he reported on one of our residents being scammed in a situation involving a crypto ATM, not in our town, but in St. Clair Shores. Following that, in April, Attorney General Dana Nessel had a public announcement or a warning or whatever that, stated that this is a problem statewide and that things need to be done at the state level. And then following that, Susan Tompour, a reporter at the Detroit Free Press, went even further and discussed some of the problems that have been happening throughout the metro area in terms of scammers being contacted on the telephone, put cash into these ATMs, which one of them is right here. This is the ATM that is at the foot of Kirby at Matt, the Shell station, jammed in between what appears to be a cold coffee machine and also a regular ATM. You can walk right by it and not even know. But the crooks tell people to go and put money into these machines. And it's a very untransparent situation. And what we want to do with our ordinance tonight is to enhance transparency and provide a little bit of help to our residents. Certainly, if any ATMs come into our community. So that's kind of the background in terms of where we find ourselves. During this process, Shane Reside called the Michigan Municipal League and asked if there were any model ordinances available. No, there are no model ordinances available for the state of Michigan, oddly. So we would be a leader in this field if we pass this tonight. I understand that there has been some time since Shane called and perhaps other communities around the state have passed this legislation. So maybe we're not in the same book right now. But anyway, we're one of the leaders in this idea. And then Bill Burgess went ahead and drafted an ordinance that you all have in front of you. And that's why we're here tonight to discuss the passage of this ordinance. So I think that's enough background.
All right, Bliff. Councilwoman Sierra Donovan, you've been working on this as well. Do you have anything to add?
I just wanted to thank our police department for what they do day in and day out. And when I read that report, Public Safety Department report in March, I found it very disturbing because when someone suffers a financial loss, oftentimes there is no recovery. And there have been some other incidents prior to that, not necessarily relating to virtual currency, but where they were investigating other residents vulnerable that have been scammed. I also appreciate that our city attorney, Bill Burgess, was basically ahead of us in terms of the knowledge. And so what I would like for the audience to know and our residents is that when we asked Attorney Burgess our position in terms of looking at doing something. He was aware that Senator Durbin out of Chicago, Illinois.
She's a congressman in Illinois.
Was aware and had actually crafted possible bill and introduced the Crypto ATM Fraud Prevention Act to crack down on crypto scams that they prey on seniors. And so Attorney Burgess was aware of that and brought that to our attention. So it's nice that when we decided to do something, that there was attention brought to this matter on a federal level. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilwoman Donovan. I'm a member of the public policy thing for the Michigan Municipal League, and my contacts with them, which might be around the same time that Shane's, there is nothing on the radar at all for any actual municipalities to bring an ordinance forward. We would be the first to do that as of 2 days ago or Friday. With that, let's have our city attorney, Bill Burgess, tell us exactly what this ordinance says and what it does.
Well, thank you. I'm going to first tell you what it doesn't do. It doesn't outlaw or ban the placement of virtual currency machines within jurisdictional limits of Grosse Pointe Farms. Nor does it necessarily protect our residents who might be undertaking transactions at virtual machines that are outside our jurisdictional boundaries. So the first thing to keep in mind is it's restricted to devices that at some future point in time might be placed within Grosse Pointe Farms. We currently have none. But if there were to be a provider who wished to do so, the draft ordinance for you this evening undertakes 4 basic regulations or limitations. The first is that any device to be located within Grosse Pointe Farms would have to be registered with the Department of Public Safety. And there would have to be a business license obtained for the operator of that particular machine. Number 2, there would be mandatory written warnings in the nature of a consumer protection warning to let potential customers know of the potential risks of potential fraud, and the fact that they may not be able to reverse transaction once it's completed with the virtual currency machine. Number 3, there would be a requirement for a consumer telephone hotline, a person, a live person, who could be contacted in connection with a potential transaction utilizing such a machine. And then last, from a substantive limitation standpoint, in discussing the matter with Love and Sierra and others, fundamental limitation would be to try to safeguard new virtual machine consumers. And the way that that's accomplished in the proposed ordinance is that there is a 14-day period of time which someone accesses a virtual currency machine for a transaction. During that 14-day window, they're deemed to be a new customer. During that window, in any particular 24-hour period, there is a dollar limitation on a transaction using the machine. It's $1,000 during any 24-hour period. And then on top of that, there is an aggregate transaction limitation of $5,000 during that 14-day window. After the 14-day window is expired, all bets are off. There's no longer any limitation. But the idea is that someone at that point would become more familiar with the utilization of the machine. And you'd still have the consumer protection warnings and the hotline, consumer hotline. But there would no longer be a dollar limitation. The last thing I want to say by way of summary is that although Grosse Pointe Farms, if it enacts this ordinance, be among the first local municipal jurisdictions to do so, certainly have to contemplate the likelihood, if not the desire, from a good governance standpoint, that the state legislature might act, that the United States Congress might act. I think from a legislative consistency standpoint, we would most likely welcome legislation at the state or federal level. You don't want to have patchwork regulations in this field. At some point, if Congress were to act, the legal terminology is if the legislation at the federal level were to occupy the field. In other words, be a comprehensive set of regulations, more likely than not, it would supersede our local ordinance. That could happen at the state level as well. But in the meantime, this would be for some duration protective of our residents here within Grosse Pointe Farms. At some point, our ordinance might go away because it's been superseded, or the council certainly has the opportunity to amend it down the road if there's any potential inconsistency that needs to be addressed.
Bill.
I have the answer.
All right. What I'd like to do here with the council's permission is that I'd like to hear from the public, and then I would like to have council make their comments. So is there anyone in the public that'd like to come forward to hear on this issue? Please come forward. Again, your name and address.
Here, 306 Fisher. I want to support Lev and Sierra. This is a wonderful ordinance. You know, protect our citizens of Grosse Pointe. There's so much scamming going on. At least this is a real positive step. And I really thank you for taking this on. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Others who want to come to the podium? Yes, sir.
My name is Carson Gatt. I'm actually not a resident, so I don't know if you need.
Sure, we do.
Home
We do.
address.
Yes, please give yours.
So it is 081 West Farron Road in Clio, Michigan. You guys have some handouts and stuff that I provided beforehand. So my name is Carson Gatt. I am here on behalf of PointFlip. I am a government policy advisor for the firm Dykema. Artist up there. Just wanted to provide a quick summary of some of the stuff that is before you. So quickly, PointFlip is a Chicago-based global digital currency platform focused on providing consumers a simple and secure way to buy and sell cryptocurrency. The company was founded in 2015. It is now one of the world's largest operators across the entire country, as well as operating in 9 different countries across the globe. PointFlip has operated in the state of Michigan since 2019, and I'm proud to announce as of April of this year, was officially granted a money transmitter license from the Department of Insurance and Financial Services, also known as DIFS. As you can see in the packet as well, that we believe that is a key component of any type of ordinance or regulation, is that that operator would have the money transmitter license, because that triggers authorization from the state of Michigan, as well as auditing all the other things that fall within that money transmitter act. PointFlip's kiosks prioritize consumer protection by asking 6 distinct questions throughout the process to detect possible fraud, or scams taking place, as well as blockchain analytics, which again, we view as an important piece to any type of regulation from the state because it safeguards both the data and the actual proper transactions on the back end, as well as we alluded to earlier, the 24/7 live customer support, and clear disclosures on any fees. CoinFlip is currently regulated by the Bank Secrecy Act, the US Patriot Act, and they're implementing rules and regulations, as well as FinCEN. We are currently working on legislation from a statewide perspective. I think as the city attorney alluded to, that's something that we view as important to avoid that patchwork and from different jurisdictions and having that statewide regulation and those standards set forth at the state level or again, a federal level is a key component. CoinFlip has also worked in other states such as Illinois, Minnesota, to actually implement and craft statewide virtual kiosk, cryptocurrency kiosk legislation. And I just want to share a personal story because ironically, about 2 months ago, as we're working on the drafting of this legislation and stuff, it was a Thursday at 2 p.m. I was at a convenience store grabbing a protein bar, and an older woman was, she had a walker and she was on speakerphone. And she said, I only have $9,200. I don't have the full 10,000. Is that enough? And I immediately in my mind, something was wrong. And I asked her, do you know who you're speaking to on the phone? She said, no, something went wrong with my internet. They told me my data was stolen, Comcast. They then directed her to federal government, then through the Department of Treasury, and she was there trying to get her identity back. And they said, you need to put in $9,200. Luckily, at the time that I had intervened, the money was already in, but she hadn't clicked send yet. So the money was able to be not sent because then it would have been gone. I can safely say that was not a CoinFlip kiosk, but the customer service and the process of trying to help her find out where her money is and all of that, 24/7 live customer support, and a person being able to talk to certainly would have helped that process as I waited here for an hour with her to try and figure out and finally get on the phone with someone to help out. So I experienced that firsthand and, I completely understand what's going on out there and conversations that we've had both with MCUL, the Credit Union League, as well as the Bankers Association. I mean, people are on their laptops and scammers pretend to be Microsoft and say you're getting malware downloaded and they're sending through, not even a cryptocurrency kiosk, just through a Zelle or something else like that, sending large amounts of money because they feel like they're getting scammed. So this is something that is kind of across the entire board. It's something that is an issue, and we are actively, looking at legislation and to put in reasonable regulation and safeguards around these transactions to make sure that we can prevent this and crack down as much as possible. One thing that Mr. Burgess said that we've looked at too is that a holding period on that first time transaction or different things that other states have kind of implemented to really crack down on that first time the new customer, because that's where you see the majority of these instances taking place. So there's more information in the packet. We're available. I'm happy to answer any questions. If law enforcement has questions too on, what are next steps once something like this happens, because you need a police report and all that kind of stuff, please feel free to reach out. So it's not really oppose the ordinance by any means, more so just wanted to have an opportunity to provide a little bit of background and let you know what we're doing at the state level, and that CoinFlip is committed to pursuing reasonable regulation from a state perspective that focuses on consumer protection. So.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gatt. Any questions for him from the council? Lou? Lev?
Thank you very much for coming. You're speaking very eloquently to this problem. And obviously you're very involved. And
you strike me as being a responsible gentleman, and perhaps Coin Flip is one of the leaders in trying to really, handle this lack of transparency issue. Unfortunately, the two machines that I have seen right here in our local area have not got any kind of, I would just say, really visible, transparent, warnings or anything that our ordinance is trying to attempt to do, right? To have signage and to have warnings and stuff like that. Sounds very good that you've got the 6-step process, which I haven't seen. Of course, I haven't used your machine. Let me ask you this. Do you have a copy of our ordinance, our draft ordinance?
Yes.
So can you just tell us, what is your problem with what Bill, reviewed and problem that your company may have in terms of, the restrictions that we're trying to put on these machines? If you could go through some of these, give us an understanding of our ordinance and what you think of it.
Yeah, so first two, Coin Flip with being a Chicago, Illinois-based company, they've worked very closely with Senator Durbin on this issue. And, right when we saw it, the first thing that the Coin Flip guy said was, I have a feeling that this was coming down from Senator Durbin. So they're very familiar with that. I think some of the windows, and especially probably, I think it's alluded to in the packet that I have there. But the aggregate amount within that certain 14-day window, maybe a little low. That total over the 14-day period, an aggregate of 5,000 over that full 14.
So what's he saying, Bill?
He wants to raise it up.
Raise it up.
I don't know that you need me to interpret it like
Okay.
this thing, but the $5,000 limitation may be too small.
Okay.
If you have an experienced person who may have been on a different platform and knows exactly what they're doing, then you're disincentivizing the kiosk located in your jurisdiction from operating because someone who may want to put $10,000 in, even though they're considered a first-time customer and they're experienced with it. We're seeing just large amounts of transactions as it relates to, Bitcoin especially, which is, approaching the $100,000 mark.
20 now. Okay, I have no other questions.
So you're saying they could just go somewhere else then?
And that's really why we view just the statewide. I completely understand and respect the ordinance and what you're trying to do, because we're trying to do the same thing as at a statewide level. There's just, if Grosse Pointe Farms implements something, you can go over to a nearby jurisdiction and then, they'd be able to operate currently as they do, just unregulated. So we just view that the statewide perspective so that every municipality across the board is the same. And we're not getting that patchwork where one jurisdiction is, $1,000 transaction limit, another one's 5,000.
Yeah, we understand. Mr. Gadd, thank you very much for your input. We'll be back in contact with you periodically if need be, I think. I think you have some really good insight into this matter. And I thank you very much for coming and traveling and being here. I appreciate it. Again, as you know, we're not inclined to believe in patchwork legislation, but you have to start somewhere. And right now, as you've just heard from many people, there is nothing that has been proposed on the legislative side for Michigan lawmakers. And this might be a push. And that's part of our motivation. Thank you, sir, for coming.
And, I work very closely with the MML team and John Lamakia, Harrison Richards.
Right, good.
All of them, and can even connect with them and let them know that I presented here today.
Please do.
Keep them involved in that conversation.
Great.
No, we're very familiar with those guys too.
They're great. It's an awesome job.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any others like to come? Yes, sir. Please give us your name and address, please.
Dan Jensen, 336 Kirby Road. First of all, I'd like to thank Director and Deputy Director, police work involved in this, because as we all know, good police work is proactive, not reactive. This is a perfect example of being proactive. Second, no one's addressed AI here. Wait till AI gets involved in the withdrawals and the machines and everything else. Andy and Hunter smart enough to pick up on it now because it's gonna get worse. It's in the paper every day, read it all about it, and steal people's money. And if we have to push it, as gentlemen said, down the road, good, let's push it somewhere else. Because as a community in Grosse Pointe Farms, we don't have to promote this. Let them go somewhere else and let them take the heat. It's not a good thing. We're a small community. Let's push it on out. If we can do something better, that's great. I don't think it's great to increase the amount. I think we stay with what the original recommendation was and go from there. But this is a great example of good police work being proactive, not reactive. So good.
Thank you, Dan.
It's just a great thing to do.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. All right. Now, council, can we have some comments, please? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. I am very, very pleased that City of Grosse Pointe Farms is taking up this ordinance regulating digital currency. I believe it's not only in the best interest of those who live in the city of Grosse Pointe Farms, but those who come to work here and come to visit. This ordinance protects everyone who wants to use one of those machines within our good city. And I think could wait, should not wait to enact this ordinance. We should be at the forefront, I suspect, of what other communities are going to do across the state and across the nation, and give consumers the protections that they need and deserve, and try to stop scanning vulnerable residents from these types of transactions. If the state of Michigan wants to take up additional legislation, which impacts our city ordinance, that's fine. If the United States Congress wants to take up additional legislation that affects our ordinance, that's wonderful as well. But for the time being, we have a very well-written ordinance that I believe is going to be a model for communities across the state and across the country. Quite frankly, I'd invite everyone on council tonight to vote or to hear the arguments. Coin Flip is well represented. They will be in the future. But let's do what's right for everyone that comes to our city in terms of using digital currency. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Galui. Other comments?
Oh,
Councilman Zeroko?
yeah, I would, so a few things. Number one, I'm fully in favor of this, really important ordinance. Frankly, as I shared with the Berkeley Press, I would be in favor of an outright ban in our community. We do the same thing. We essentially do not allow marijuana dispensaries in our community, and communities all across the state and the country make decisions about what is and isn't in their community. That being said, I was compelled by the discussion in previous meetings to believe that this approach is a more legally durable one. And it's one of the reasons why I want to support it. To pick up on what Mr. Jensen said, the coming arrival of AI, it's not even coming, it's already here. The concern I have is not the way necessarily AI will directly impact these ATMs, but the way in which it'll make it could compel people even more in more scary ways to want to give money. We're hearing stories of people, with faked sounds of their children in the background and threatening and having to, put up a ransom. So there's no reason why we need to have these sort of scam ATMs anywhere close to our community. So from an ordinance perspective, I think it's a good one that we should go ahead and pass to protect our the folks in our community. And then there's from a policy and political perspective, I think it's good for us to pass this, number one, to be a leader, but even more importantly, to give that legislation and give this ordinance to other communities. I'm hopeful that every single one of the Points and Harper Woods considers picking up this exact ordinance and puts it in their community. And frankly, I think if more and more communities pass this and similar legislation in their communities, it'll be more likely to actually enact, not just the policy that perhaps industry wants to see happen at the federal and state level, but perhaps policy that people and communities want. I think if this is just left to legislators in Lansing or God forbid, legislators in Washington, DC, this will have not the kind of impact that it needs to have on our communities. So I think it's incredibly important that we pass this and play a leading role.
Yes,
for other
you made that statement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councilman Schwelka. I'm not really unopposed to your idea of a ban either, but legally I understand. Other comments?
Bethel, can I just follow up on?
Well, let's have Joe.
Joe.
Go on.
Oh, okay. I just want to follow up with what Neil said and others, in terms of this regional idea of having, communities around us, coordinate this effort and have them pass. I spoke to Art Bryant from, the Woods, Mayor Art Bryant, Sheila Tomkoviak, also from, the city, and Michelle Hodges. I have talked to and met with these folks about this. I've given them the draft ordinance. They didn't make a commitment any one way or the other, of course not. But the fact is that our communities now have the, now, in order to be successful with what Neil had said, we need to get City of Detroit.
Yeah.
And we need to get St. Clair Shores and East Point, Harper Woods and others so that we can have this group around us. So that if somebody in Grosse Pointe Farms gets a telephone call from a scammer, says, you've got to go to Northville to put your money in, that person's going to be less inclined to do that rather than going maybe to St. Clair Shores or to this machine that I showed you, at the Shell station. So, I've tried to push this idea so far. That's all I've gotten, but, I think I'm hopeful that we can impress upon our neighboring communities how important this is. So anyway.
Thank you, Councilman Wood. Councilman Ritchie.
First of all, the meat and potatoes of this ordinance really is the waiting period, the 14 days and the dollar limitation. I probably get an email a week on, you were charged X amount of dollars, call this number. I fell almost victim to it. I got to tell you. And the bottom line is if you have to go right away and put your money in and go going, but if you make you wait and have a dollar amount and you have 14 days and you've got to go and you go, maybe eventually a bell will go off and say, this isn't right. So to me, it's really very, very important because, they're out there every day. They're out there. So I'm totally for the ordinance.
All right, we've heard from everyone. What is the pleasure of council?
Well, I do have a motion, if I could make a motion.
Yes, Councilman.
My motion is to approve the proposed virtual currency ATM ordinance written by Bill Burgess and included in our packet dated July 14, 2025.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we need a roll call on that? We don't. All right, any opposed? This ordinance has been passed. Thank you very much. Thank you for the audience. Appreciate all your comments. All right, we have a consent agenda here. Would anyone like to, we only have 2 items on it. Would anyone like to pull out any of the items? If not, can I move for approval? Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda has been approved. Let's get the reports. We have received the 2025 Public Safety Report. Any question on that? All right. Has been received and thank you. Other business. We are going to have to recess here for a small break. We are going to be going into a closed session to discuss about a property item. And then we will return. And then if you all want to stay here, that is great. And we will have
Open up for other business before we go.
oh, okay, very good. Other business before the council. Hearing none?
You might want to check if anyone in the audience has any other bits.
Oh, so we're not going to come back.
We're not,
Oh,
well,
okay.
we will come back and we won't be taking any action.
All right,
but
okay, all right.
that-
So if there's other public public comment on any other items, now's the time to make it. Normally it's when we come back, but we're not going to be coming back. Yes, sir. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. Again, Dan Johnson, 336 Kirby Road. I would just like to say, I'm careful how we get into it, but there was an incident on Friday afternoon with the coordination of the Public Safety Department including the fire department, everything. You had mentioned a couple individuals that were stealing cars. It was outstanding, outstanding. So, coordination was awesome. Second, I've been retired almost, it'll be 4 years, the end of December, and I still love coming to these promotional processes. I really respect the way you guys do this. It's so cool to see the people that I hired with John get promoted, because that's not pretty soon I'll be too old, but it's wonderful, and I thank you for the acknowledgement. It's really outstanding. So thanks again, I appreciate it.
Hey, Jan. Anyone else like to come, public comment? All right, hearing none, we are going to need a motion to,
Go into closed session.
that's right, to move, yes, to go into closed session.
Support.
All in favor?
All
right.
Two-thirds majority. Oh, please, Mayor.
You need a roll call.
We need a roll call.
Councilmember Wood.
Yes.
Councilmember Lucci.
Yes.
Your pro tem, Cameron Wood.
Yes.
Councilmember Donovan.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Councilmember Wood.
No, we have to go into another.
It could be a bigger.
Thank you all for coming, appreciate it.